Muchas gracias, Denise. 2020 has been a crazy year for us Latinos, but we have to think and remember that we're strong, we're resilient, you know. And so I'm going to tell you a little story about how 30 years ago, I was standing in a food rationing line. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Venezuela, all of our countries have gone through really, really tough times. So you see, I grew up in Nicaragua, Central America. And in 1979, let me show you what that looked like. This was July 19th, 1979, when the Sandinistas took over the dictatorship and they toppled that government and we became a communist country. Guess where I was on that day? Don't worry, don't try to find me in this picture, but I'm gonna show you this other one. This was me. I was 3 years old. My mother decided to go out into the streets to celebrate this historic moment. That was her car, and we had that for the whole time. And we thought that the revolution would make things better, that everything was gonna go from a dictatorship to a great, prosperous country. But you know what? Things did not get easier. In fact, things got so much harder that I ended up being in that line every month to get some food for my family. And everything else that we would need to buy, we had to buy it in the underground market. And then I took a risk. My mother and I moved to America. We came to the United States and we lived in Tampa, Florida with just a few pieces of luggage. We even brought a pan, I remember. And we spent our first few years living in an apartment that was subsidized by the apartment, and we would supplement our food with food stamps. In some ways, not just that different from the early days in Nicaragua. My first job was working at a grill at the local McDonald's on Hillsborough Avenue. And in high school, I cleaned offices with my mother to make extra money. And then I took another risk. I applied for college, I applied for internships, and that led me to IBM. So 20 years ago, I built my first chatbot at IBM. I stayed there, I climbed up the corporate ladder, and then I took another risk. I decided that after 10 years, I was going to go leave IBM to start my first company with my partner, David. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I took that, and everybody thought that I was crazy. How could I leave a company like IBM after 10 years? And we started this company. We started two companies. One was called Lookery, and the other one was called Performable. And we sold this company to HubSpot. And after being there for 3 years, we took another risk. We knew we were not done. And we left HubSpot to start a company called Drift out of a rock climbing gym, just the two of us. We left an IPO company to start from scratch all over again. And today, I'm proud to say that Drift has over 370 employees, and we have received $114 million in funding, and we have over 50,000 customers. But I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't taken huge, scary risks. And I will only feel successful when I have inspired and helped others, especially Latinos and Blacks, to do the same thing. My dream now is to build a community. I want to build a community of risk takers. The more of us that we take risks, the more we're going to be able to break through the ceiling that we have in this country. So I'm going to leave you with a quote from our VP-elect, Kamala Harris. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. And today, my name is Elias Torres, and this is how I amplify.